37-year-old drummer, rapper, composer, programmer Kassa Overall has made one of the New Year's greatest records in my estimation, I Think I'm Good, on Giles Peterson's Brownswood recording label. Blending his lovely acoustic jazz drumming with hip-hop production, including samples and melodies largely recorded on the road, kind of a field recording of New York City's urban environment, I Think I'm Good updates DJ Shadow's masterful debut Introducing, merging acoustic and program beats with unusual melodic fare that is impossible to forget.
First one, kind of cliche, but I gotta do it. Thing about this is, I grew up listening, like when I was a baby, like when I was a toddler, I used to listen to this record all the time, back over and over and over and over, and I think it affected the way I think about like what good sound is. You know, like it sounds, it got that texture, you know? And obviously the music is great, the music is incredible, but there's another side to it, which is the sound quality. They had so much sensitivity, space, all of that. So always gonna be one of my favorites, even if it's everybody else's favorites.
Did you pay much attention to the drumming?
Yeah. No. Yeah, like I didn't notice that I was paying attention to the drumming, but when you really think back to it, that drumming was extremely important. Like it was the restraint, the ability to be cooking that kind of stuff and to stay calm.
How did that record make you feel?
It made me feel like I had a big sleeping bag on. It warm, relaxed, cool. I remember I asked Jimmy Cobb one time at the Vanguard, I said, how do you play so relaxed? And he said, he looked kind of like frustrated that I was asking him questions, you know, because sometimes cats be like, man, can I just drink my drink? He said, you gotta practice relaxed, you know? And at the time, I was thinking like, come on, man, tell me something. But it actually worked. Like I thought about it and I realized I was practicing way too intense in the practice room. I had to learn how to practice calm, and it made my performance much calmer. My favorite album of all time, Doggy Style. When I was in 5th grade, my brother got Doggy Style on CD. I dubbed it to tape, and proceeded to listen to it every day for the whole school year, basically. You know, I got a Sony Walkman, and I learned every aspect of this album. You know, when I listen to it now, sometimes I'm like, dang, this stuff was explicit, you know, like damn, this was like, I can't believe I was listening to this in 5th grade. But musically, production wise, this is like some of the highest level production of all time. And I feel like I want people that are, this might not be the right way to say it, but the virtuoso musicians and songwriters or art people and stuff, I wanted them to make albums that sound good like this. At the end of the day, this was an evolution in sound. Like, it sounded so good. You can't compete with the way it sounded. Actually, I wanted my new album I was kind of competing with this album sonically with my new album. The guy who mastered this album, his name is Brian Big Bass Gardner. His assistant engineer at the time was Mike Bosey. So Brian Big Bass Gardner did this album, the Dr. Dre albums, All Eyes on Me, a bunch of those kind of huge West Coast albums, among other stuff. His assistant engineer, who became the man later, mastered Kendrick Lamar's albums, Tyler the Creator's albums, Post Malone's albums, SZA's album, and my new album. So my new album got that slap. So I'm hoping that, you know, people can hear that I'm trying to level up the production sound, you know what I mean? told you I grew up on Kinda Blue, and I'm pulling Miles Smiles because Miles Smiles, I came into this one later, like during college, and it for me, it sounds great. It was recorded so well. Teo, right? Teo. And the thing is, and Tony's, you know, sensitive ear-based drumming. But the other thing about it is that Miles is the evolution of Miles and a lot of great artists. It's like you'll be ready for Kinda Blue, but you might not be ready for Miles Smiles, and then Nefertiti, and then, you know, and it's kind of like your ears have to get ready for the next phase, you know. So it was, when I discovered this, it was like discovering a whole new artist, you know. And Tony, there's some of my favorite Tony Williams drumming. It's good. It's just good, man. It's, you know what it is? It's like the ultimate listening. It's like the ultimate tasty, but it's also like hip. You know, when you see somebody that's dressed real sharp, like they just like, it's just clean, like crisp, like it's just the ultimate like hipness, you know? Yeah. That kind of energy.
Flam taps and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where I was just trying to play just like Tony Williams, you know what I mean? Then I just was like, I'm never trying to play like Tony Williams again. I think I had to realize that nobody's perfect. I know this is a weird answer, but like you realize that like everybody's human, you know, and they were all trying to get to something, you know? So I had to like stop idolizing too hard. At a certain point I was like, you know what? I could be a great drummer, right? But at a certain point you also, in order to have the audacity to be a great drummer, you have to almost like, you have to try to compete in your mind with the greats. Man, I gotta find something that Tony didn't do. And that's really hard. Not to say that I did or didn't or whatever. It's not even, that's not even what, but it's just more like, sometimes you gotta say, okay, well, like, Tony did that very well. And I hear a lot of people trying to do that, and they do it well, but not as good as Tony did it. So it's like, well, let me go try to find a different little lane that is not so overpopulated, you know. And then another way was to start acknowledging my shortcomings as a drummer. So speaking on the Jimmy Cobb thing, I always was too tense when I would play. I'd be like, and I come home feeling all drained, and you know, and I still do sometimes when I get off of my square, so to speak. But I had to really go into the practice room and learn how to play relaxed, and I started learning how to like kind of meditate on the drums, you know, and that kind of vibe, and just kind of dealing with my internal barometer. Use the drums as a way to kind of feel my own stuff. And so that became a journey kind of separate from like technique and cymbal beat, and more like personal. So yeah. Burnin', Bob Marley and the Wailers. This is another one of my first albums ever, one of my dad's records. And I knew I knew Get Up, Stand Up by heart. My dad used to, you know, tell me to sing it in front of, you know, his friends would be in the car, he'd be like, sing them to Bob Marley. And I used to do it from top to bottom. And again, production. Like, okay, the music is great, the message is great, the poetry is incredible, but the sound, you know what I mean? The sound of the drums they get, the you know what I mean?
Are the toms and stuff real flat sounding?
Yeah, they're like, they don't resonate a long time. And he takes a bottom head. It's Carlton Barrett, the drummer on this record, and on every Bob Marley record ever, took the bottom heads off all the toms. It's 1973, track 1. Yeah, Yeah. Well, it includes the original version of I Shot the Sheriff, so that's the sheriff's badge right there. Yeah, I learned how to play a cymbal beat from listening to a one drop, because the one drop beat goes. But if you take the snare drum and bass drum out, it's kind of a straighter, it's kind of a more straight cymbal beat, but it's still ding-a-ding, you know. And they also put the triplet on top of it, you know. So they're implying the 3 against 2, just like jazz. Same kind of message, you know, same lesson, same rhythmic poetry in there. Charles Lloyd, Forest Flower. Now I have to say this is my least knowledgeable selection, meaning like I don't know the song titles and everything, but I know I like it. It also is indicative. Every one of these albums has a meaning, like a pick. So this one is indicative of playing some outside stuff or some, you know, stretching, reaching creative music and still pulling in the audience. Pulling in, you know, this was during this time period, if the story is correct, he was attracting young audiences, and people was like, you know, in the crowd doing like this, but they playing some outside stuff, you know what I mean? And so I think Charles Lloyd and this record and Charles Lloyd records in general are important when you think about the West Coast thing happening right now. Because I think that maybe, you know, Charles Lloyd's a West Coast cat now. He's been over there. I think that has had an influence on the way the West Coast players are approaching it, because they know how to incorporate common listener. And then also you got Jack, you got Keith Jarrett, you got Cecil McBee, but Jack and Keith, you know, is also like the Keith Jarrett trio thing is huge for me. Like Jack's actually my favorite living drummer. I would say it's a little more, it's more excited than normal, or than later. You know, the later Keith Jarrett stuff, it sounds a little more like matured, or he's like, he got the little bells and they get all like, they get all like, but this is a little more like he's going for it more. And there's also another the record I wish I had, I don't even know if it's on vinyl, but there's a performance of them playing in like the USSR or something. It's a live concert from somewhere over there back in the day, and I listened to that one a lot. And also, by the way, WOBC, Oberlin College. This is from the Oberlin College. I actually didn't steal it. So I inherited a record collection from a friend I went to college with, and so like half of his records. So I didn't do it, but you know, if Oberlin, if y'all want it back, you know, come and get it.